Okay. All right. All right, just some. Peace. Peace. Some announcements real quick. Next week's class will be canceled. It will not happen. I won't be at the school. I won't be online. Peace, God. Everything's peace, God. Yeah, so as I was saying, next week's class is canceled, but not for anything bad or anything like that. Something I'll definitely share. My daughter is graduating from the Culinary Institute of America, so not going to be in the city. So, and going to be busy celebrating with her, you know. So, I'm gonna write that in the comments, though, you know. So I'm typing in now. I'll be at my daughter's graduation. So yeah, peace of self-elevation. Peace. Peace to the earth, wisdom infinite. Yeah. Yeah, it feel you know, it's really great. You know what's interesting is the solo album. I figured I'd do the solo album, you know, as a soundtrack to this book, because this book is something that I wrote over almost 20 years ago. 95% of the book was written over 20 years ago. And I just say 95 because that means all of it, but just the edits over time. But it's a very important book to me, and I figured nobody would publish it. A lot of people don't know that a lot of the stuff that they read from me and stuff that people value is stuff that magazines or publishers wouldn't publish. You know what I mean? This is why, you know, that's why I self-publish these things. Magazine, like for example, most the major magazines aren't interested in sharing any stories about my real love series books, you know, and the coverage I do. They love taking the names, they love keeping up in tune, but that's about it. You know what I mean? So you know, the Zen of Us was something that I had under wraps since 2000. I finished the book in 2005. You know, the major crux of the book. You know, when and I've been trying to get it published, thinking about how to get it published, how I would do it. And then when King was like, "We gotta do a solo album," I said, "This would be the perfect thing, something that's been in my mind, been crucial to me for, you know, my entire life, having this knowledge of self." You know what I mean? And those worlds of knowledge of self and martial arts, they merge in this book. And then the album merges that into it. So those three worlds that I live in, you know what I mean? Three ciphers, you know what I mean? That are really not separate to me, but especially the martial and the knowledge of self world. But still, it's a creative work, you know? It's not something that anyone that's a student of mine needs to get. or anybody that's learning with me online, you don't need to get any of my books. There's not one book that you need to buy from me to learn from me, or that you're going to miss something. These are all books that are creative, you know, in especially the Zen of Us book, especially that one, you know. But yeah, I'm interested, you know. I tried to respect the craft, you know, for real MCs like you, Wisdom Infinite, you know what I mean? Um, I know I said something that is unique to hip hop. There are things in there that nobody says, you know what I mean? Because I know there's things I know and I see, there's things I live that nobody's lived. So just a lot of fun to make it. All right. Charles Black, CIY's peace to the gods. I'm gonna be here till about 8:15. You know, I've been actually trying to get online since 5:40. So about took me about a half hour actually to get this thing to lock on. Um, I didn't hook it up that way. You'd have to buy the book and the album separate. But I be telling people, if they're in tune with me, if you buy the book, I will, you know, I send you the digital album. You know, if you buy the book from me, I send you the digital album. You know what I mean? Just let me know. Just let me know where to send it and stuff. Should have an email in there when people fill out the info on the Bandcamp to buy the book. But yeah, you know. And when you see, obviously, when you see the topics, when you see the ideas, you know, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Some of the tracks like Sun Shower, they're autobiographical. You know, they're autobiographical, heavily autobiographical, not entirely, but heavily. Yeah, that's peace. Yeah, that's peace. You know, and this book, yeah, I write in a very concentrated style. This book is a creative work. You know what I mean? Um, you know, it's not those martial arts book where it tell you to kick here, kick there. It's not one of those books. You know, so it's all mental. It's all mental and the mentality. You know, and it's all creative. So I basically did was I took throughout. You know, when I first started to read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, I always liked Thomas Cleary's translation. I like his translations of ancient texts are very good because they have a lot of explanatory notes, so you could get some ideas about translation, even if you don't. And of course, you're not able to read the original text. But if you could try to get a glimpse of why choices are made during translation, what happens is that when you read many translations of a said text, like I read many of the Tao Te Ching, and even more, and I gotta say that's the most. I probably read about 30 to 35 translations of the Tao Te Ching, and reading so many, and then you know coupling it with a few like Thomas Cleary that write notes on the translation, you kind of get an idea of who's taking liberties and things like that. You know what I mean? And then it helps even to read some horrible translations. You know, um, but in the book Zen of Us, I took all 13 chapters of The Art of War, and I basically wrote my own commentaries because Thomas Cleary's translation includes commentaries by generals and men of war over the hundreds of years in Chinese history. And one day I was like, man, I'm a writer. I should write my commentaries on this. What do I think about this? And this came about because I always write in my journal my thoughts and my ideas about all the books I read. And mind you, I'm always behind in that, but that's what I do mainly. That's the main work I do in my personal journals. You know what I mean? Um, so that's where it began, you know, and it's really a creative effort. A fun one too. Fun one too. So even the chapters I renamed them, of course, you see, you know. And the album reflects that as a soundtrack, a score, but it also has the lyrics in there. So the book has the lyrics, but if you just if you give it a listen on Bandcamp, you're allowed a couple of listens, even if you don't buy it. See if you like it. Yo, the lyrics are all there, so you can see what I was saying and stuff. My favorite Dao De Ching translations, obviously the one that I use in the book is Public Domain, which is not my favorite, but it's adequate enough to get the points across. My favorite translation is John C.H. Wu and Thomas Cleary's up there. There's some others that are good too. You know? But again, if anybody buys the book, I send you the album. Peace, self-elevation, yes. Yeah, if you email me Sunez97, I could throw you a couple of translations. I have quite a bit in my collection that I've collected out of all the translations. You know, Dao De Ching is a book I always try to read once every year. You know, and it's one of the more popular. You know, The Art of War as well. You know, I try to read that. I work to read at least every one or every 2 years. You know what I mean? I haven't read it again in a while. The Thomas Clary one that has all the other commentaries from other generals. Haven't read that one in a while, even though that was the one that sparked me. I still have the original book where I rearranged everything and I plotted the way I would do the book, you know. But the book is based on the Art of War, not the Dao De Ching. But the Dao De Ching is the one that I've read the most translations of. Yeah, Five Rings, good piece too. That's one I haven't reread in a while too. I gotta get back on that. Yeah, so again, just an announcement. Next week there is no class, no streaming, because I won't be in New York City and I'll be busy. My oldest daughter is graduating from the Culinary Institute of America, right? If you had told me years ago that my daughter would graduate from the CIA, I'd be disappointed. But it's Culinary Institute of America, so it's a wonderful thing. You know what I mean? What a beautiful gift she's honed and developed, and I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm happy to you know, this is the kind of stuff that I like missing class for. You know, last week I missed class, and that was just, you know, just personal situations that kept me from getting here. You know what I mean? And even getting online because I had to do some work, but you know, personal work. But yeah, next week's class is canceled for that. But you know, always keep in contact with me. Always, you know, emailing. You know, one of my students was asking me about, you know, he felt like he wasn't being a good student stuff. I said, listen, one of the best ways to be a student, King Kimono, was like engage. You know, like if you was here and we was living close to each other, what would we do? We would building on the supreme mathematics. So drop me, write it out, send a voice note, something. You know what I'm saying? God King Kimono used to send me voice notes, videos. He still does. Voice notes, videos, writes it down, text message. But he engages because showing that every day he's going to use it, and he's going to, you know, he's going to see if it's you know, writing exact, you know, writing exact. But how best to engage your teacher, you know, build on the day's mathematics. Give me a report on what you're doing. What's your workout regimen this last week? right? What's your study? What's your study? You know what I'm saying? How have you been studying? You know what I mean? All of this is crucial, you know? Yeah. Another thing that a student was asking was that he had trouble building on supreme mathematics. That's why I said you have to engage me and on what the day's mathematics is, or else we wouldn't know this problem. We know this problem because if I see a person daily or weekly, then we're going to see how you see today's mathematics. Peace. But if you don't engage, then you're not going to see it. You know what I mean? So the key is, right? The key is, though, in the beginning as a student, what you want to do is you want to try to explain what you think knowledge is, and then we go from there. You have to take the daring to see if you can explain it. You know what I mean? Certain students, if I give you my plus lesson, what did you get? What didn't you get out of the plus lesson? Like, what don't you understand? What do you understand? And you answer all the questions you can. That's peace. Oh, there we go. Peace, God. Everything's peace, God. All right. Now, Cypher. Now he didn't greet Azrael with peace, God. The gods and earths address Fakim as God. Fakim's an original man. Fakim was God. Fakim Allah. Yeah, that was the God. He's Boricua just like me. Like he's the God out of Medina. Like, you know, nobody not addressed him correctly, right? And if people didn't address him as the God, that's because they didn't know any better. They was ignorant. But yeah, Fakim is not a white man. Fakim was the original man. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I also one of the guys put up reminding me about Najee's wake, which is on Friday. But because I'm not going to be in the city, I don't know. I'm probably not going to be back for that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be back for that. So I can't really promise that I'll be here, even here for that. You know? Who? Fakim? No, no. Fakim was as original as they get. Yeah, man. Fakim was Boricua. Yeah, that's the original man. Peace, God.
Peace. Somebody said this is like a kung fu weapon, and I was like, well, the martial arts originated from farmers
Right.
in Okinawa, so
Yeah.
everything was a farm tool became a weapon.
That is a nice little weapon. But yeah, yeah. By the way, though, like maybe some people actually, I don't know if they were ever here when he was alive or with him, but that was never a question. Like nobody ever. I'm gonna keep it real. Nobody ever got confused whether he was the God or not. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, right? In my experience, right? People say I'm Boricua, I'm Puerto Rican, this, that. But everyone that has a knowledge of self that doesn't want to admit that I'm the God, they already know that they're supposed to. They just don't want to. When that happens, because they don't want to, not because, you know what I mean? Nobody confusing this for a white man. You know what I mean? So that's yeah, that's yeah. It's crazy. I never heard that before. Yeah, I never heard that before. Yeah, shit. Yo, and like I was telling people, I say this all the time, man. Keep on me as a and listen, if we're gonna build and we actually get the moment to build, make sure you take advantage of it though. Okay. I don't always have the time to be regular with everybody. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So it's important to engage me, and sometimes you get a lot of engagement, sometimes you get it seems like a little bit engagement, but if I answer you back and stuff like that, I answer you back in one sentence though, please don't think that one sentence though is minuscule, and probably sense there's a whole bunch in it that you're not really seeing, you know and if you have if you email me and I don't email you back, that's something where I would expect you, let's say 3 days. I'm gonna say give Sunez 3 days. Yo, give me 3 days. I don't email you back in 3 days. You forward that shit back to the top. Okay, it's okay to knock on the door. You know what I mean, right? If you have my math and you text me and stuff, and you need to build with me, then let me know. You need to build with me in sound. You know what I mean? Because that I don't just be picking up when people call. You know, because then I wouldn't really get any work done. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't get any work done. But yeah. So I expect over this next week and stuff for people to be text me, email me, and stuff like that. And if you want to be that engaged student, though, build on a day's mathematics. Whether you send me a voice note or something, or write it down. And as we go along, though, it helps if you write them down, because when you write them down, I can see how you write. Then I want to see how you speak. But in the beginning, you write them down. You email me. You know what I mean? I always want to see how people. I always want to see how people write. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, I see original man author. Peace, God. Right? You had a born day, God. Happy born day to the God. Right? Um. And again, I'll be here till 8 o'clock. Yeah. Right. All right. So let me know. Oh yeah. Major question. Um, Before I talk about the day's mathematics, how do we use them? Well, in the beginning, I asked if you really understand them, right? If you really understand the supreme mathematics as a beginning student, maybe you don't see the difference between these words and the regular definitions, and then truly what they mean. You know what I mean? So this is where the work has to begin, right? Uh, Now, once you understand what they mean, then now the application might be difficult day to day, but you're not making the day become that degree. You're testing to see how you can focus on the ideas of that one more. You know what I mean? That's what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're doing. And that's what gets left out too. You know what I mean? That's what gets left out too. You know, but so today's knowledge, right? We start thinking about the definition. Look, listen, and observe is not the definition of knowledge, though. It is the way that you engage to get knowledge. Okay, knowledge is an actual thing. It is not something you hold, but it is absolutely tangible in the mind, though it is intangible in the world, right? In the physical world, right? So knowledge is some actual fact, a truthful idea, a foundation of thought that is insurmountable, absolutely true, and will serve as a building block to be used, wisdom, right? To reveal an understanding, right? And then I'm doing the mellow. It's all in the head. The understanding, the revelation of its purpose. And that understanding is the fuel for culture. It is the reality of your culture expressed physically in the outside world. Now we went from the inner to the outer, right? And that culture is shared across outwardly as you live, as you merely live. And its power, its propulsive influence extends because it's the culture of understanding. It has a specific refinement. It is focused to a point. It has an intention, it has a focus, and it leads to an equality. This equality is targeted based on the what? The power that was refined as focus. It has an equality, what I call a proper position of balance. A reality that borns now from the inner to outer, and now we have the fruit. It reveals what? It rejuvenates you in this reaffirmation of self, God. You don't become God again, you always were. You don't become the earth again. You are fulfilling your reality, right? You are expressing yourself. And now the first fruit is what? You. You've been realized once again. And now you what? Build or destroy. You are what? You were changing your reality and destroying what once was. Even if it was good, it was becoming even greater. And now that was destroyed anew, something anew, building. And now you what? It's an elevated fulfillment. You have born something, right? Elevated fulfillment. And now the cycle begins all over again from born, right? Knowledge add on a cipher, right? Peace to the guy Kasim out the gate. It's TV. Kane, you said knowledge, facts, information, skills also gained from experience or education. Through doing my due diligence and seeking to learn more about myself and the layers of what makes me who I am. Allah. Yes, you know what's interesting? People see wisdom as experience, right? But remember that knowledge is gained by your experience, right? When we talk about wisdom relating to knowledge, wisdom is the use of that knowledge, right? Applied. Okay. And if you notice, they continue, they don't overlap. What they do is they constantly circle around each other. The experiences becoming vital knowledge, right? Right. I see the understanding, King. Absolutely. Kasim said, experience exposes you to knowledge, and the experience from applying the knowledge gains wisdom. That's right. That's right. Very well said. I see that. Peace, Rome. LT, you said peace. We teach everyone. If you walked into a cipher and everyone has this knowledge, including the culture, would you just say peace instead of peace gods? I've never been in that cipher. I don't really go into ciphers and just be yelling out peace God. And I'll say that as someone that this is my home. You know what I'm saying? So I don't just be saying peace, peace gods. Like, you know what I mean? What if there's an earth there? Whatever like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, we always got to do the knowledge though. Right? And there's culture seeds, or it'd be the same, right? If there would be same, if there was 85 there, right? We would be like peace, you know, right? Or people not in this nation like that. There's a lot of righteous people I know that don't have the knowledge, that don't deal with the knowledge to this degree. You know what I mean? I know people that are righteous enough where I see them as God, but they're not in this nation. They know that they're the true and living. They live righteous. They do great deeds, but they just not under the study like that. So, you know, I don't, you know, I give the title when the title is like, yo, under the study like the way we do. So, you know, I don't always just throw out the peace gods in the cipher, you know what I mean? So, yeah, we always got to be doing the knowledge, you know what I mean? I never had that problem all the years coming in here because, you know, we do the knowledge, right? Who's actually in here, you know, right? Knowledge is what you know to be a fact from your own experience, research, or study. Knowledge is first, not guesswork. The number one work then for the knowledge day is not to find new knowledge, but to continue to test and reacquaint yourself and qualify, I should say, qualify the worthiness, the completeness of your own parameters of how you judge whether something is knowledge or not. This is how you review things on the day's mathematics. Yeah, see, King, you said I agree to 85% are righteous outside of the 5%. Peace. That's what I come in because God is not the author of confusion. Yeah, yeah. You know? Yeah. Remember when you go, you know, this shouldn't be a martial code. This should be a life thing, but like we always should know who's in the cipher before we say peace anyway. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean is you don't know everybody. You get introduced to people, but um you should know who you don't know. You know, always do the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like, you know, I was at the Bodhi by Nature event, man. A lot of my Boricua brothers and sisters, man, they're 85 to the bone. I mean, right? It was, and I was with the God King here. We was watching the 85ness, all night. So, but so many of them, everyone that said peace to me, an overwhelming majority of the crowd was saying peace to me, and I peace back, man, peace, man. You know what I mean? That's what we bring in. But I always do the knowledge, though. You know what I mean? Our title is to say we're the God. We got knowledge. Like, see, when I see a flag, I don't see somebody that is just carrying it, though. When we see a flag, we're seeing somebody that, wow, they went through the study, and they went through the same rigor of study and examination as myself and as my other brothers and sisters. So, they're going to get I go in there and say, peace, God. You know what I mean? It's been a long time since somebody was just wearing a flag saying that they're not this. CIY is peace, God. You said as a martial artist building on Tao Te Ching, right? Sun Tzu, right? You say Sun Tzu. You study movement versus stillness. How do you engage with and actualize the science of the sun in yourself as moving or still? That's a good question. I like that question. You know what I mean? The sun is perfect. Like, I couldn't name myself better a million times over, because in my mindset, I want everything that I am to be still, but I only want what I share to move. And the sun doesn't move, but everything it shares moves out, travels. So you feel it everywhere the sun is not. And when I made this name, all I was, that I knew I was I was some kind of writer. I ain't even fully fleshed out what kind. And in that sense, though, we share things and they go out, right? So your mind is in stillness, it is calm, it is centered, but everything else that you do extends outward, you know what I mean? Yeah. Movement, stillness, Oh, LT always say, I thought I was specific saying that everyone there had this knowledge. I'm speaking specifically if they were men who consider themselves part of the 5% nation. I mean, if they all, that would be like more like if I'm in a parliament and I see a bunch of brothers, some I don't, some I do. I'm gonna assume that they might be all gods, so I'll be peace to gods. You know what I'm saying? But again, no, I'm not gonna say that unless I see some I know and I see flags and shit. So yeah, like. So LT said, I'm thinking about if walking into a small room and everybody there, and that every man there has knowledge, including a culture seat. I understand you. Nah, if there's everybody has knowledge, listen, I'm gonna say this. This is not like, it seems a weird question, but it's not. I taught many classrooms where I would come here and the class was already filled. And I taught many classes where Azrael himself was saying, you talk about white man with knowledge. Azrael used to be in my class all the time. You know what I'm saying? He shared many jewels with the students, and there's many things I taught him too. You know what I'm saying? Because he was a good learner. He was a really good learner. And and so, and by the way, somebody has the knowledge of self longer than me. What would they learn in my class? The first thing is styles of teaching. The truth is that very few people have the style of teaching that I have. It is different. You know what I'm saying? And so we exchange our ways, you know what I mean? But when I would come in and he would be in here, for example, I'd just be peace, And again, let's say in the classroom, I'm very particular. I don't know who's who. They could be 85s, 5, and including black, brown, yellow, white. You know what I mean? So I always just have a simple piece. Then I go individual. Because again, since I've given a classroom example, everybody inside the classroom counts. Everybody inside the classroom counts. You know? And then they need to be addressed. Each person needs to be addressed individually. Right? Does that make sense? You know? Yeah. Yeah. You know what's interesting is that some situation like this will probably come up during Najee's wake. It's in the funeral home right around the corner, up the block. Actually, I should go that way, up the block. I went the wrong way, up the block this way. But and then they come back to the school. You know, yeah. There's something that I learned about the sun from Firstborn Prince, that it reflects the way that you teach and the possibilities of you teaching. You could scorch the earth or you could warm it. And so you have a choice of how you share. But it is always distant, it's always careful, you know? So, you know, peace, divine understanding. Yeah. Trying to check something. I'm a little confused about something here. That's peace LT. Yeah, I got that, but it's fine to be more particular. I hope that we're using the summer and training hard. You know what I mean? Not using the heat as an excuse. You know what I mean? I train early in the morning, so by the time I get out, it's not even hot like that yet. You know what I mean? But when me and the gods used to train, we used to go up to Mount Morris Park, right, where the first parliaments were. We used to go all the way up to that mountaintop, though. Train from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. So the hottest hours of the day, we were up there. You know, some people I trained, they still they could see the effects, because when I train them, I train them for like 2 hours outside. I don't even bring water. I don't even bring water, you know. And when they get there, I'm already there training for a while, doing sprints and everything, you know. So we learn how to go a long way without water. Not that you should be doing that like that. But what I'm saying is, like, this is where you want to test yourself. You know what I mean? Little by little, right? And then chunk by chunk. But you gotta test yourself somewhere. You know. You know, people don't want to test themselves in the winter. They want to test themselves in the summer, in the fall. They're just trying to get back into it. But then they're gonna, if you do that in the fall, you get back into things. But then you're gonna quit in tough weather, winter. Then in the spring, oh, I'm gonna get back into it. But then when the summer hits, you quit. So basically, you are seasonal. You're seasonal. It's not. No one is effective at anything though being seasonal. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Even the fruits and vegetables are building underground. You know what I'm saying? So when you don't see them, they build it. Man, King, yeah, King, yeah, King. I gotta get you some training regimen too, man. You know. Listen, I'll tell you something, right? Like, people respect all people of all ways of life, sizes and shapes. You know what I mean? Right? But that's peace. I think LT was trying to say that's peace. But yeah, we always got to be sharp, man. We got to be sharp. You know. And I'll tell you something. When I wrote this book, The Zen of Us, and it's not like I said, the books I make they're not necessary for the class at all. You know what I'm saying? They're creative works. There's a lot of jewels in them. There's a lot of deep thought in them. But they're not necessary for the student. You know what I'm saying? You get a lot out of it. My Peace Course book, anyone would get a lot out of it, but none of it is necessary, man. But when I wrote this book, I hadn't written them. Zen of Us is actually the first book I ever wrote, like something that's long enough to be a book. The Peace Course essays were written earlier, but I didn't know that they were long enough to be worthy as being a book. They were just like separate, long, very long essays. Hey, who knew that if I put them together, they'd be a book worthy? I didn't know that. So this was like my first book. And when I wrote it, I said I gave myself guidelines, and I gave myself a month with due dates each day of what I need to accomplish. It was a month where I lived alone. And so I didn't sleep in my bed. I only slept in my training area. I had a big room where I was training. Weapons, music, rate the computer that would wheel in, wheel out. So right. And that's it. If I didn't finish, I would sleep on the floor. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't get like the things that I've achieved is because I tested myself. I tested myself many ways rigorously, you know? People test themselves how drunk they can get, how much fun that they can have, how long the party can go. I was testing to see how long I could read. If I could read 24 whole hours, which I achieved. I was testing myself to see how many hours in a row could I write, right? Maybe it went like 5 or 6 hours, though. I can't remember. I really don't remember. If I go back in the journals, the timestamps would be there, but I don't remember what book it is. And there's about 74 of them to look through for that. But, the point is. So what I'm saying is this, right? By the way, that 24 hours of reading, didn't really read that much. You know what I'm saying? Like you would think, or like you would expect that I would really like tail off. You know what I mean? But the point is that we have to test how rigorous we can make things. You know what I mean? You have to see how great you can be. You know what I mean? Sometimes we only let that be the parameters of others. Think about this. We let them be the parameters of others, though. And then we're getting frustrated that other people are the ones that push us to our limits. So, man, they're making me work 2 shifts in a row. They're making me do this. So I have to do all this work here. No one that I've ever worked for has ever pushed me harder than I push myself. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't associate being pushed hard with something with oppression. I associate it with them trying to push me hard as an oppressive measure, but not the idea of like, oh, I want to get away from that and just relax. That's what I want to do. Relax. Everybody's fighting for relaxation. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking if I earned it, you know what I'm saying? Like during the week, my biggest problem is figuring out what day of the week do I take off from training. Because when I train every single day, there's always a day that I break down. You know what I'm saying? Right? I was building with that with the God Can't Come On because I went through some ciphers with that. I was training rigorously for the last 2 months with no days off. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, I'll make light workouts, but I don't do. They can only be a light workout based on how long they are. But then I would be doing a shorter workout with massive intensity, so it's not much of a day off. And that's why I have to figure out. I always have to fight to take a day off. That is a better fight to be in than be fighting the days that most of them should be doing something. You know what I'm saying? Monday, let's start this damn week. Tuesday, I tried, but it just didn't go. Wednesday, I did something whack. I was there for a little bit. Thursday, I did something. I'm getting in the groove. Well, it's Friday, man. Week is over, man. I made it to the end of the week, man. Chill, man. Then Saturday, man, there's so many things to do that's fun. Sunday, I got to relax because now tomorrow I'm going to start work over again. This is the way that people excuse themselves out of stuff. You know what I mean? Every day got something. You know what I mean? So, it's important to have this rigor. And I'm saying that because after I wrote the Zen of Us book in that fashion, the goals weren't met and I would sleep on the floor. No blankets, nothing. Trust me, it was not summer, right? Just in my training gear, same training gear. I didn't finish. So I trained more to be sparked to write more. And I just would lie down there, boom. You know what I'm saying? So it got me to finishing my goals, sparked my thoughts. You know what I mean? It got me into the zone that I wanted to get myself in. But we have to find some way to challenge ourselves. If the most challenging things you've ever done have been people that put you to work, you haven't really done it. You know what I'm saying? If you're an athlete, but the best training or the best challenges you ever got was, I don't care if it was in the army because you was being taught to fight and kill people, original people, other innocent people, fight for booty. I salute anybody that had the guts to be a veteran of anything, right? But if that's the hardest shit that you went through, that means that it's somebody else that put you through that. How hard can you go through things for yourself? You know? That's what writing that book taught me. You know what I mean? But anyway, in these summer months, I don't go for those excuses if it's too hot though. I really don't. You know what I mean? I think maybe Piece of Guy Infinite Man. I think where he's at though, we might be. But we still gotta get up in the morning. You know what I'm saying? If you training in 70s, 80s, I don't want to hear no complaining though. We should be able to train in those weathers though. And honestly, God knows we was training in the 90s. We was definitely getting it in on Mount Morris in the 90s. All day. All day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, God, you said best training sessions I ever had in the middle of the night where I couldn't sleep because couldn't stop thinking about moves. Yo, man, I forgot what park it was we was all at, right? And we got late, and I had never trained in the pitch black dark, and it just felt free. I wasn't thinking about the way things look. I was just moving, and then I would go outside and train in the dark. You know what I mean? Yo, the light eagle, the light eagle. That's right, King. Yeah, yeah. You know, because even the God knows King that he's been able to build new telomeres, new working agents in his brain. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to push though, because the brain can heal itself by using itself greater. Whatever is left, whatever is strong, using it greater. You know what I'm saying? But and I don't mean pushing yourself to some extreme limit. What if the extreme limit was just the consistency of it? See, some people think the extreme limit is, Sunez wants to be trained for like 3 hours a day. What if you train for like 20 minutes, 6 days a week though? And you went hard though, right? That's why I give my 5x5. What if you went 5 minutes nonstop push-ups, 5 minutes squats? That's it. Good squats, quality push-ups, straight through, no breaks, everything. Failure, get up, failure. 5 minutes, that's 10 minutes a day. And then you say, you know what, I want to do something else. Work on something else in my body. Work on something else. You know what I'm saying? Work on this, add things, chest, maybe I want to try running or things like that. You know what I mean? Right? Like, for example, I do jump rope, right? And I've been thinking about trying to shorten my workout. My jump rope handle, usually the rope breaks, and I got like a lot of replacement ropes. And how the handle break? The handle breaks. And I'm like, you know what? It'll be shorter. But now instead of doing jump rope, hit training jump rope, I said, listen, I'm going to see how fast each time I get up to this hit training, how fast can I do 50 burpees? Right? And I do it 4 times a week, my major sessions. That's 200 burpees. Peace, God. Likewise, God. And so this is like for the last, I'm going to say 3 weeks, at least 3 weeks. I've been getting in 200 burpees a week, along with everything else. You know what I mean? And it takes less time to get the effect with that than it does the jump rope. And so I've cut the training and made it more harder, which is what I'm always going for, right? And so this is what I'm talking about. Like, the only reason I wasn't doing that before was because I was like, I hate burpees. Everybody hates burpees. Nobody likes that. You know what I'm saying? But we got to challenge ourselves. We can't somehow, you know? If people see a consistency of works, it's because we challenge ourselves so much in the preparation that the performance of works is quick. That's peace, LT. That's peace. Right? So that's the point. And to LT's question, like, just you see any cipher, always be peace. And then, we greet people with peace. And then you go, if you can, you go individually to people. And if not, then you don't. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Peace of divine Allah. Again, any questions? I'm gonna be here till like 8. I'm gonna be here till 8. All right, and then we'll get out of here. So any questions that people have? Again, I won't be here next week. Attending my daughter's graduation from the Culinary Institute of America. She's gonna be a baker. You know what I mean? So you would think that I'm just gonna get lots of treats and everything, but it really means that I'm gonna have to earn some treats. You know what I'm saying? I have to earn the treat. You know, my daughter became a baker. I refuse to eat baked goods. I refuse. If it ain't from her, I don't want it. I don't. We're supposed to eat a treat like that to make us happy, and I'm not happy now. I don't eat if it's not hers. I'm not really that happy like that. I don't want it. Like you want to have a cookie and be happy. You want to have a cake and be happy. No, I don't want it. Yeah, CIA operative. Yeah. Yo, I had not. Yo, I remember I was telling my brother one. I said, "Yeah, man, she graduated at CIA," and I just didn't think about it. And he was like, "Yo." He was like, "Damn, man. Sorry, man. Sorry." You know what I mean? I was, and I was like, "No, not that CIA." You know what I'm saying? Not that CIA. You know? That's peace. All right. Yeah, man. So, I'll tell you this though, right? I have an album out, but there's so much great work from the gods. Like Infinite Mind has an album out. Man, so you got Infinite Seven Mind. Look for that on Bandcamp. The God O7 has an album out. OSVN. I'm on that album too. I'm on a song called Heaven Sent. So there's so much work by the gods, like really killing us here, The God out in Canada, Ras Fresco, actually has an album produced by DJ Muggs. You know what I'm saying? Right? So lot of great music out there. You know what I mean? What? I'm seeing Backwards Sweetie, aka the Earth Wisdom Infinite, gonna have her Christina Shante 2 album out in the fall. Oh, that's dope. That's dope. You know what I'm saying? Yo, these MCs that I'm mentioning though, they should be your favorites. This is why when I make songs, I get to make them different. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many different styles and everything. I could go and probe and give you like, deeper poetic, philosophical, concentrated supremacy type stuff. You know what I mean? Because we hit all the angles. You know what I'm saying? Hit all the angles. And all the gods I mentioned are mad deep. you know, and you could listen to him like for the bench press or for the, you know, for the sit down, relax, listen, you know. So it's like all the styles, you know what I'm saying? And I'm in back with Sweetie too, man. You get your bench press on back with Sweetie though. She goes in hardcore. You know what I mean? You get your muscle ups with that. You know? Where's Bond? Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm not even caught up on all these albums. You know, I've heard Infinite Minds, of course. You know, I got to interview him '07. Of course, I heard the album. I'm on it. So that one's great. In fact, that album, Voila 2, it might be better than Voila 1. That one was crazy. One was crazy. So you could listen to 1 and 2 back to back. You know, got the God King Kamal 3 albums, right? The kind of like his Lost Tapes was the first point, right? In due time, and then he had man, one of my favorite albums of the year, man. You know, and it's crazy. I have to write like a whole dissertation so people don't think that I'm just being biased and everything. But Paul was incredible to me. You know what I mean? I love True Cypher beats. I love the liveness that King rhymes on them, the insights that he has. And then, yo, I see June 10th as like a, you know, like I play them albums together though. I make one big album playlist, you know, the June 10th album, Deluxe, and the Paul album together. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one big, you know, Wu-Tang Forever by one dude, you know, one shot, you know. That's like a good, was it like a good, man, you got like a good near hour of heavy joints, you know what I'm saying? Experts. Yo, the gods, man, we got too much, man. We got too much, you know. I haven't even mentioned all the gods that you know, SD Nat got some new shit, you know what I'm saying? I haven't even been able to listen to it yet. Oh, that's Peace God. Yeah, so yo, for me, I never had this many favorites. You know what I'm saying? Favorites, you know, come out. So like I gotta make myself not enjoy it because I gotta write about so many others, you know? So then I gotta move on. I gotta move on. You know what I'm saying? Because I am super behind on the Real of 2024 book, man. I got like 150, let's say about 150 albums, and I maybe wrote about 70 of them. So that's not as behind as I could be, but you know, a lot of albums released though this year, but not as much as before. The quantity has lowered, thankfully. Thankfully. I think that people are not making albums longer because of that. I think people are making nice, better quality, shorter albums, you know? But anyway, the point is that, yo, engage in something. It's important that we engage in some type of creative effort. And that's why I tell you to write a journal. When you write a journal, you could be creative with your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? You're not very good in public. Write it out. What would you say? You're not good with the girls. I'm being serious. What would you say? Write it out in a journal. You think a joke that you had like is not clever? Write it out in a thing. Sometimes when you can see it as a third person, you'd be like, okay. Like this is what you know, we have to also practice how we will speak, how we will present ourselves. And when we decide we decide that we're the true and living God, which means that we are deciding who we actually are going to be, which means that who are you going to be like is a choice that you actively make. You know what I mean? That's very important. You know? Look at that, Joseph C. Polos. I'm on that too. A little quick snip intro joint, you know what I mean? Little verbal joust to throw before the MCs jump in the ring type shit, you know? Yeah, man, Teachers of Pox is crazy, you know? Teachers of Pox was crazy. Yeah, so it was so much fun making it though. I had fun making all 4 albums, man. All 3 with King. You know, the solo. You know what I'm saying? All so much fun making all of them, man. You know. But yeah, man, we gotta. You know, you don't have to make hip hop to be creative. You could try to create other things. You know what I'm saying? All right. 793rd piece. Yeah, again, any questions that anybody has? Yo, I'm gonna be here till 8 o'clock. So anybody has any questions about anything? Understand too, if you have trouble dealing with the mathematics, the beginning of the month is where you start because this is where you want to say, listen, I'm gonna start planning things right now. And then you can see how the mathematics goes with you throughout a whole month and how you develop things through a whole month. So it's important to take advantage of the beginning of a month, you know? Yeah, man. But one of the goals is like to use your creative outlets, to use the assignments as outlets to foment creativity. So if I tell you to have a journal, you may not be a writer, you may not be in the writing arts, poetry, hip hop, right? Whatever it is, you may not, that might not be your thing. But let the writing let you decide to be able to have a personal conversation with yourself that is overt, that is outright. You also are learning how to speak to yourself. And that's something that we don't do very good. You know what I'm saying? How do you speak to yourself? You know what I'm saying? Do you speak to yourself with fear? All of these things, you know? Yo, thank you, 793. I didn't even see that you gave a shout to my little girl, you know? But it's peace, right? It's very peace, you know? Okay. All right, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. I'm gonna be here till the build hour. Got another half hour. And I really want people that that really want to learn more to contact me through the email. You find me on the Instagram or anything. Build that way so that way we can connect. You know what I mean? Divine Allah, you asked a good question here. Peace. What is the truth related to the United Nations? I mean, it was formed 1945 to fight for peace. Yet with 193 members of the states, yet we far from speaking about peace in certain countries. I mean, long way from being at peace. Yeah, because there's no magic solution, you know what I'm saying? And that was the intention of the United Nations to have to have rigor, but what the United Nations hasn't been able to even come close to achieving, and who knows if it's even a goal of theirs, but they don't override superpowers. You know, it doesn't. What they do doesn't really neutralize or keep any of the superpower nations like the United States in check, and that's where it fails. You know what I'm saying? Right. Thank you, Malik. What do you mean by that, Malik? I always found it hypocritical for you to be in the United States. Oh, in the UN, you mean? To be in the UN, the United States, you mean? Yeah, you know, one thing about the United Nations is that one thing you do have is you have um, a lot of record of the consistency of atrocities. I know it sounds like not much, but it's a beginning, because when there was power to enforce the standards, um, that may have something to do with it, you know, and having a better record. All right. That's peace, Malik. Malik, let me know if there's any questions I can answer, because I answered a lot of the questions you asked me very briefly. Yeah, yeah. Um, Malik was asking me like about the determined idea. First of all, I don't think the determined the promise the promise has to go. You get the promise, right? And the determined idea, right? You can only make a promise of a determined idea. You know what I'm saying? But I was telling you, Malik, that I didn't see any discrepancy in them speaking. That had to be chronological when they spoke about it, or else it doesn't make much sense. Because when people say that, I was saying that 120 is not chronologically written. Certain things are before others, though. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't mean that every single historical thing is in the right row, right? Um, but when we talk about like the development of Yakub's idea, and then the way Yakub had the principles and stuff like that, a lot of it does follow some type of order. Okay, but as far as 120 in general, nah, it's not the thing. As far as historical events and things like that, no. You know what I mean? So like the promise came in the degrees. Like for example, the promise comes before the idea, right? But the idea in the wisdom culture degree is articulating what the promise is about. So that that's already out of chronological. The idea comes first, then he makes a promise based on that idea. But it's telling you to promise though. And he goes, well, the promise about what? So it's not in order, it's going backwards. But again, that's proof again. Like it's not written perfectly chronologically. That's not the point. That was supposed to be written according to mathematics though. You know what I mean? And the order is really just with the principles, you know? Right. Now I see what you're saying though, but what I said explains it though. What happened? I did, guy. Yeah. Yeah, so again, I'm not gonna be here for class next week, right? But understand that the God Najee is gonna have his wake and the repast here at the school on Friday. Right? So Friday in the afternoon, early evening, make your way here. Right? Because one thing is that you can learn a lot though. Even if you didn't know Najee and you're trying to get this knowledge, sometimes coming to see how people pay respects to our elders, um, you learn a lot though, you know. And honestly, this is the way things worked out. I'm not even gonna be here during that time, but you know. It's a good question. As always, Malik, is really reading, not just trying to analyze them, but really reading into them. So sometimes you got to do that, though. You got to fish out questions, you know? That's wonderful. Uh, no, no, she doesn't. Yeah, no, I don't force her to make anything, and she knows how I don't really mess with the treats like that. I'm training so much, but on a special occasion and shit, when I really want them, I get them. You know. So, but it's not about me. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's about her fulfilling a talent for all the people that love it. You know what I'm saying? And are out there desiring it. You know. So I don't want to. I don't even want to be. You know, part of that process. You know, like right now she cooking for the whole world. You know what I mean? All right, so let me know. Let me know any questions, okay? So remember the things I was saying about how to be a student, right? Engage whoever it is that's teaching you, right? Engage them. Don't wait for engagement, though, okay? We're all the majority of my students are adults, though. They should be engaging, right? Najee, his wake, the repass here at the law school. You know, it's a time to come and build with the gods, learn, right? And if you see us a family, you definitely want to be here. You know what I'm saying? You definitely want to be here because that's when you're really gonna learn. It's a you know. And I'll tell you something though, right? Sometimes being around the elders when someone you love passes, they show you how to deal with all this. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you how important it was to go to Knowledge Me's wake. You know what I mean? And see the other gods and see how they loved him, which was different than the way I did. You know what I'm saying? As his student, you know. So it was important to see all that. I learned things about Knowledge Me I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I learned things that brothers wanted to impart on me that they thought that Knowledge Me would have wanted me to know. Whether I knew it or not was irrelevant, but they just wanted to do that. So, peace. Everything's peace, God. Likewise, God. You said who translated 120 when Elijah wasn't answering the questions? I don't think it went like that. It wouldn't be translation. The word is wrong you use. Translation is from language to language, but you mean transcribe, you know? But I'm thinking that he may have done that himself. You know what I'm saying? Because it's no one would have had it in such bad grammar, you know? And consistently the grammar that he spoke in. So I really think that it's very possible that he learned a lot. Remember, he was learning books, everything. I think he learned a lot more than just the truth. I think he learned how to read and everything during that time, you know? So, you know, I mean, that's how I see it, you know? What he learned was too powerful. And to have someone transcribe it as the teachings and have it in the same incorrect grammar that he spoke with, that means that, you know, if he demanded the transcription, it was like what they call, I forgot the name of it, but this, when you do a transcription true to word, you know, like you don't change the grammar and stuff, which is very, very rare, very rare. It just makes sense to me that Elijah would have written this himself, you know. And if it was transcribed or gotten down, circle would have been really, really small, you know, because they consistently got his own speaking grammar errors in it. was looking at that trying to figure that out, man, just the other day, man. Yo. Well, I mean, look, we got instructed. Yeah, so yeah, they always talked about the secretaries. But what I'm saying is that, like, they did a word for word transcription, zero editing, zero suggestions, you know, because they kept the same grammar that he spoke with. So there was no, I mean, it's crazy. It's like beyond like negative zero, -1 editing, because it's such blatant errors that you would suggest immediately. You know what I'm saying? But the integrity of them is actually kept, which was the point. It was Elijah's duty to be the messenger, and the way he spoke is the way that need to be messengered. Very important. Very important. You know? All right, so I'm gonna be here for another 15 minutes. Okay, be here to the build hour. All right. So, any questions? Anything that people want to say? Um, but I would like students that are building with me to throw me the day's math regularly. You know, like, people don't really get how much this exercise really builds you up. That's our main muscle building, brain muscle building exercise, and we don't do it enough. We're learning in this way. We have to find a way to do it regularly, and there is a way, and there should be no reason. You know, why do you think? I don't really care for it. People build on the math and do it online. It's just a way to, to show and prove daily. I think a lot of times because they're not around people that they can show and prove to or need to build with, like, you know, when we have it for a long time, all of us here, we're not building with each other like that. But best believe that, or best know that we do that as a regular thing in our mind and as a personal thing. So that's important. Really important. Can't stress that enough, man. All right, so that's the homework assignment, man. See more people build on a day's mathematics with me, man. And then when you progress, though, you start building on degrees like today's mathematics wisdom. I see wisdom as this, that. I see this degree as this. You know what I mean? That's how we got to get. That's how we got to get. It doesn't have to be only in the classroom setting. It's going to have to be beyond the classroom setting, right? We have to launch past this. I don't know if I don't know if everyone, people always give advice of what they do when they feel down, feel a little bad. I don't know if any suggestion is good. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you that for myself. Um, I don't really respect my negative thoughts. So I have a way of disrespecting my negative thoughts. So I know that I assume that my negative thoughts are for the things that I don't have and I can't do at the moment. If I can't do it at the moment, then I figure that it's just not the time. And I put a said birth record on the roots of all of my negative thoughts or feelings. So if I can't do this and that's why I feel bad, it's not going to endlessly be like that. I'm going to be able to fix it, money and other things, right? So I don't respect the infallibility of my negative thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Because at the same time, I respect my positive thoughts and assume that they need to be regenerated at all times. So I don't assume an infallibility of my positive thoughts. And that's why when the negative thoughts come, I see them as temporary as when positive thoughts. You see? So when I have positive thoughts, I'm like, yo, what's keeping this thought positive here? Then we got to keep doing this. You know what I'm saying? That's how I do it. You know what I'm saying? Right? That's something to rewind. I right? It makes some kind of sense, but you gotta see what I'm saying. You know what I mean? You gotta see what I'm saying. But you respect that they are temporary, and so you continue to build in the fashion that continues the positive thought in the righteous way by doing those things. When a negative thought comes, you disrespect it by remembering that it has a said birth record, right? And it said birth record is faster rather than slower. The more you learn how to actually embrace that the positive thoughts and the positive realities, they need to be known how that comes about, just like you need to know what is the root cause of the negative thought. That's peace, G1. That's peace. You know what I mean? But I usually I disrespect my negative thoughts, and again, martial arts makes you like you don't get to train when you don't get to fight when you feel like it. And so when I train, I keep that same mentality. So that's really what's built me up as a martial artist. So it's not the performance, but the preparation. And so I always find a way to do something, no matter how injured I am. You know what I'm saying? Right? So it's very important. You know, I don't meditate as much as I should, but I have many solitary moments though. You know what I mean? And I have many moments though where I'm deliberately studying myself. So they are not traditional meditation. Because I do martial arts though, there's always moments when I'm doing it where it's meditation but in motion. You know what I mean? So it's not the ideal meditation. You know what I mean? But you're also talking to somebody that really, by most people's standards, I overwork. You know what I mean? Or I do not. If I don't overwork, I do extreme work. right? But there's always a moment where I can be alone with my thoughts, if that makes sense, and let them go or deal with them. Malik, you said for being paralyzed 33 years, I was only 18, is why I asked that question. And I see what you're saying. It's a very good practical way of looking at it. See, the thing is, right, is that you've accepted what has happened to you. And so you could always feel bad. But you got to remember, like, there is only this that can be done. If there's only this that can be done, then how great can one do it? You know what I mean? How much can one do it, you know? And you know, it sounds, that's why we have models of humanity when we study humanity. You know what I'm saying? Right? Look at Stephen Hawking. That wasn't even an original man. But he couldn't move any of his body, his whole body. And he was able to build, you know what I'm saying? And left an incredible legacy. You know, so like sometimes you embrace what is right and exact so well and adapt to it so well that you use everything to combat the other. You know what I mean? All the time. You know? With everything. You know what I'm saying? Right? With everything. All right, with that said, I think I'm gonna let everybody go. And like I said, G1, Malik, as always, Malik, right? Everybody on here, 793rd, King, of course, Infinite Mind, LT. You don't have CIYs, right? You know, build with me offline. You know what I'm saying? We continue to build. Rome, right? And this is not the only place, okay? You guys all have my contacts, email, social media, many ways to DM me, many ways to see what I'm doing, where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Right? So, right, we build. All right? I'm going to let everybody go and make sure that we still build, right? Like I always say, we still build. Right? We still build. And yo, when you hear the album, if you get the book, let me know what you think. All right? Let me know what you think. All right? Peace.